Eskom has paid its employees roughly 5.4 billion rand in bonuses over the past financial year. Eskom's defense of this is that the bonuses are linked to performance agreements negotiated with labor unions and are tied to operational improvements, including a significant reduction in load shedding over the past year, for which we are grateful, but which we also take into account that it's not only Eskom's work that has achieved this, it is also the work of the private sector, both corporate and citizen, in providing for their own electricity. And the broader question is, keeping the electricity coming is part of your original job description. Why should you be paid a bonus for doing what you are employed to do? Energy analyst Chris Yelland joins us now from Johannesburg. Chris, do you see any rationale for this bonus payout?
Yeah, it's always a difficult one. And I suppose, workers do have this expectation that things have improved and that they are part of the solution and that they deserve, salary increases, especially in the light of Eskom's improved bottom line. So that's just one of the realities, and Labour are going to fight for the highest price increase or labour cost increase that they can get. And management has got to try and moderate it within the realities of the business. But I agree with you entirely. I find it rather irritating and off-putting. I get Eskom press releases regularly, all the time, and it really does bother me how they claim all the credit. And I'm not saying they don't deserve any credit. There has been an improvement in the plant performance from a very low base, I might say. But there has been this improvement, but not enough credit is given by Eskom, at least, of the other factors at play that have been very helpful to their reduction in load shedding, such as, for example, the private sector's investment at their own cost in alternative energy, which has relieved the burden on Eskom. But, the other thing that has played a massive role is Eskom's horrendous price increases over the last 10 years. This has really caused a lot of demand destruction, not least of all the smelting industry, which has largely shut down as a result of its inability to remain competitive with these high prices of electricity. And so, it's part of the solution, if you call it that, has been the destruction of demand, which is not something we should welcome. The high prices of electricity have devastated South African industry.
And we know that Eskom employees are generally paid rather well by comparison with other industries. And again, simply because for years, for various reasons, they weren't doing their job properly, and now they are, but they are being helped to do their job properly by these factors that you've just raised, Chris. And then to get an annual bonus of an average of 120,000 Rand per employee, it really does stick in the craw.
It does. It really does. And you talk about, the Eskom remuneration levels. You just have to look at the annual financial statements and where it is stated what the annual remuneration is for Eskom employees, as a total figure, divided by the number of employees, which is also stated clearly in their annual financial statements. You will get the figure, the average remuneration per employee, and you will be staggered at how high it is compared to the remuneration that workers in other industries receive on average. They are highly paid people at Eskom. And I'm not saying they should be poorly paid, but it is startling quite how high they are paid on average. They are very privileged people to be working at Eskom, and it's not surprising that Eskom wins awards now and again as being the best employer in South Africa with remuneration levels like you will see if you read the annual financial statements.
I suspect that this might, in part, have to do with the fear of the unions. The unions understand the power that they have within Eskom. There are several unions that represent workers at different levels of the Eskom organization, and they're all quite militant, and they all understand how powerful they are. And so, I mean, I don't want to use the word blackmail because I think it's too strong a word and perhaps not relevant. But there is a sense of maybe cowering in the face of what might happen if the unions didn't get bonuses for their employees, and then the senior managers go, oh well, at least we get we get bonuses as well. Because I don't know if these bonuses were paid out across the board or whether they were focused on the lower paid employees.
Yeah, look, you say you don't want to use the word blackmail, and I agree with you. But to a degree, it is a fact that when you have a monopoly company where there are not a lot of choices by customers to move to alternative suppliers, you have this centralized power, not only by the company, but also by the workers, by the unionized workers. And it is a fact that they have exercised this power in the past. If you look back a few years, during one of the wage negotiations, NUMSA threatened to go on a national strike, at Eskom. And very, very quickly, the minister at the time, Pravin Gordhan, stepped in and intervened politically, to avert this by giving the workers what they wanted. So it is a fact that they can hold the country to ransom, and they have done so in the past to get their way. And that's one of the reasons, what you rightly point out, that they are extremely well remunerated, because in this centralized environment, this monopoly environment, they hold a lot of power, more than they would in an industry that is diversified with multiple alternative suppliers and companies. You don't get that centralization of power, both at the company level and at the labor level.
Chris Yelland, energy analyst, thank you very, very much for talking to us this afternoon.